All right. Hello. My name is Esmeralda Conde, and I currently teach secondary students, so high schoolers. I teach Spanish, and then today we're going to talk about our educational theory, which is social learning. Um, if you want to introduce yourself, and then
Yeah, I'm Leticia Gonzalez. I teach Spanish as well um, at a middle school level, though. Eighth graders is who I teach. Um, and yeah, I am interested in this learning theory. I feel like it kind of fits well with our subject. So, so yeah, go ahead.
okay, so the first question says define and describe the educational theory on what practices it suggests for effective learning. So the definition that I have is people learn from one another by observation, imitation, and modeling. This theory has often been called a bridge between behaviorist and cognitive learning theories since it involves attention, memory, and motivation. So that's the definition, and I think this is a really important theory to use in the classroom because I mean it involves attention, which is what we need from the students, memory, they have to retain whatever they get so they can learn, and motivation. Motivation is an important role so they can do the stuff that we ask for and they can like retain, help them retain the information as well.
Right. I think that motivation aspect is one that is going to be probably the biggest challenge because, I think you can expose the students in a social environment to the language. But I think, the theory states that not the fact that they're experiencing these, having these experiences doesn't necessarily mean that they'll change their behavior, that they'll want to engage in speaking the language unless the motivation is there, which I think is what we all probably face, that challenge of keeping students motivated and engaged. Um,
Yeah.
so that's why I really like the comprehensible input aspect of teaching languages because it's less of the just memorizing words and more of maybe like a child learns the language. Have you, I think I asked you last time if you have done much of comprehensible input in your class, or does your school do that at all at the other levels?
Yeah, I mean, I usually use assessments to see what they have learned. But this year was kind of hard because it was online, it was virtual. So like they can Google it and they can use that. So not having the kids in the classroom and teaching a foreign language, it's kind of hard online. If they don't want to learn, I mean, they can Google any language and they will get the answers. So it's why, I mean, as a teacher, I think I know because you teach one way and then Google keeps like something different, even though it
Right.
means something.
Yeah,
But
I ran into that a little bit. Even when they were in the classroom, they would still try to, and I tried to be, I tried to not like penalize them for doing that, but, I tried to say, you're not doing yourself any favors because you're not really learning anything. And I know that you can just use Google Translate, but, um, challenge yourself. Or I feel like I tried to say challenge yourselves to see if you can understand rather than just automatically going for the Google Translate. But you're right, it was evident, sometimes kids would write out these very different words that we had never used. So it was obvious that they were using a translator. um, but yeah, I think it's interesting. I like the idea of modeling the language. I I I need to do more research, but I would like to provide them with more kind of more authentic scenarios where maybe they can virtually engage with the language. I read some papers about some students that were learning Chinese by using these like virtual games where they had to go into like a restaurant and order food in the target language, to make it more, more authentic, like it would be when you're learning a language the first time, when you're a child. But I think it, there's obviously challenges in creating that in your classroom. I don't have the technology to do something like that right now, um, but one thing I'm interested in, hopefully getting to do this next year, that we're not having to keep socially so distant from one another, is to have students do more of that, working together, like at one single table, and maybe interacting a little bit more among themselves rather than just the teacher like speaking at them all the time. Did you get to do any of that last year?
Not really, because like half of I was teaching online and in person at the same time, second semester. So it was kind of hard to do groups because if you do it, like I had to do everything online, and I
Mhm.
use breakout. So they will get like a person in the classroom and then like the rest in online.
And recording.
So it was hard. It was hard to get them like to work and get stuff done, especially the ones at home, because I couldn't see them. They're like the students in the classroom, they were like, Miss, they don't answer. What do I do? Because only one person was trying to do the work and then the rest didn't answer. They probably just turned on
Recording
the
the
computers
session.
and then left. I don't know. It was hard. So yes, like I said, this year I'm trying to do more games, more like in group projects. I know they enjoy doing that. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm planning this year, this coming year.
Do you have any specific games in mind? Is there anything that you already have that you know that other teachers use, or are you coming up with your own ideas for that?
They give me like an ideas because I have one teacher that it's being a teacher for like 7 years. So he's like, you can use my games. They have fun with this and that. Last year I only used online games since it was kind of hard to like I said, like to use them both. So I did online. I used what is it called? I can't think. It's like Kahoot, but it's not Kahoot. I use Kahoot as well. I can't think of the name right
Quizzes?
now.
Quizzes?
No, Blue
Oh,
Kit.
Book It. Yeah, I've heard about that one because you get to play with the students, I think, as a teacher.
Mhm. If
So
you
I
want.
wanted to try that one.
Yeah, you should. Is they have really fun because they were like at the beginning. I asked them, okay, what games have you played before, like from middle school? Because I most of my students are ninth graders or were ninth graders. So I asked them, what's your favorite? They're like Kahoot, miss. Let's play Kahoot. And I was like, okay, if you like Kahoot, you're gonna like this one better because on Blue Kit, you use the same questions and then you can just if you have Quizlet. Is that what it's like called?
Uh-huh.
You know how you put the questions in there? You can get those questions and just copy and paste to Blue. So it's really easy to use it in class. And my students, like, they were crazy. They couldn't wait for, because I do it like almost every Friday. And they will like, Miss, let's play Blue. And then there's one app or yeah, one app that you can download. And then there's different games with the same questions. So if you're doing chapter one, chapter two, or whatever you're doing, you can use the same questions for different games. And
Oh, that's good. I like the idea that it works really seamlessly with Quizlet because I use Quizlet too.
yeah, you can use it.
Hmm.
Copy paste
Okay.
it.
I'm gonna have to try it. We never tried Look It. I did Kahoot quizzes, which they really like quizzes. But I had a coworker say that they really liked Look It too. So I need to look at that one for next year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more I feel like it's important for them, and I think it ties back to the social learning theory when kids can kind of see their peers attempting the language, attempting to speak, and to understand it. And I feel like they think, okay, well, if he can do it, I can. So I really want to create that type of an environment, and I hope that now that they can sit at the same table as their peers, that they can that can really develop more. So I'm excited about that aspect of it. I have this grand idea about getting in contact with a school like in Mexico and having them have like pen pals that they can, do a Zoom video conference on with or something like that. But I have some relatives that are educators, but I haven't really thought it through. I need to sit down and kind of work out the details of how that would work. But I think that, I don't know, I think they might find that um, engaging, and it would be in real time, with another person. So, but I need to think more about that and maybe get some input from somebody that's done something like that, because I don't know how I would go about it.
Yeah, I like at the beginning of the year, last year, they give us like all this information. It was so many tools to use and so many things to use to teach online. And one of them was the pen pals.
Oh yeah, pen pal.
And then, um, I was like, this is awesome. But I was like, I don't want to get like too excited. And then my kids, there's so many tools that they don't know how to use it, because I try to stay within no more than five. So
Yeah.
like, so they don't get confused and anything. So it was hard. But I mean, now that we probably going back to in classroom, like everyone in the classroom, that would be awesome if we could use that. That's a good
Right.
that's a good way to like socialize with people from different country.
Yeah, I think it would be, I don't know. I think if you can find a way to do it, I think it'd be a really good way to kind of keep them engaged and keep them, because I feel like that's the hard part with my eighth graders. They, especially toward the later part of the year, it was just really difficult to keep them. They were
Mhm.
just kind of checked out, and I don't know if that's just because, well, it was a rough year anyway, so I don't know how much of that contributed to it, but I also think that, they look at um, the elective or, essential classes as, I don't know, that they don't want to work very hard. And I feel like some of them, it was really easy to get them, they just were checked out. And unfortunately, it was really hard not to let that spread throughout the rest of the class, some to keep them motivated. So I really want to work on having high interest materials, high interest stuff that they can keep doing, and to make it fun. Because I feel like for a while when we were doing like grammar and things, it was just, I was bored, so I know they were bored.
Yeah,
So
this year I did so many, like so much notes. Like I was like, I'm sorry, guys. Like it's no other way that I can teach you because it's online. Like we did games, we did notes, we did games, we review before every test, but it was like so much notes. Like I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I'm sorry. I need to apologize. Every time we start notes, a new chapter, notes, notes, vocab notes, and then
mhm.
so many notes. I'm like, I'm sorry. Um, so that's one of the things that I didn't really enjoy doing notes. Like
So
I want
this,
another way to use notes in every lesson, so it's not that boring that they just copy and write it. So
yeah.
something else. I need to come out with something else so I can use it in the classroom.
Did you guys do any of the reading resources? Like, there's one called Flangu, where I don't know if you're familiar with it. They read, they have like these different stories at different levels, and you can assign them. And I used it for about a month before school ended, because they had a free trial, And I really liked it because I could assign a reader a book or a story to all the students, and it had questions already made for them. And it was, really good at their level. It was really well designed for their reading level, and they could work together. Um, they could help I set them to work in pairs so that they could help each other with comprehension and all of that. But um, did you guys do any of that? Any reading like that?
I did some reading, and then, but it wasn't from, what is the one that you mentioned?
It's
So I
called
can,
flangoo.com. I can email you the link.
yeah, for sure, please. Um, but no, I use like a Spanish teacher that used to work where I was, like in her position, I guess. She like gave me a whole bunch of resources. She's like, it's your first year here, take this and then see what you like, what you can use in the classroom. And she had a lot of readings with questions already made. So it's what I use, but it was from her own. I don't know where she got it from, but it wasn't online or anything. And then what I did, I let the students go over the reading and the questions. And then at the end, I will go like over the questions and ask them the answers, see if they got it wrong, and then have like a discussion of why it's not right, what is wrong. And so it was kind of fun. It took a long time because the reading and all the questions, it took us like long time to go over the readings, but I think
Mhm.
it's worth it for comprehension, see what
Yeah.
they understand. So I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I think it was a good motivator for my students because they realized, like, when I finally clicked in, like, wow, I can really understand what this says. Um, and I feel like when we got to that moment, it was really nice because it really motivated them. Um, but I think I was lucky. I had um, students who were very much, I didn't have anyone who was like a really low reader in their own language. So I think that was lucky. Because I had a couple, I worry about, being able to differentiate for people who maybe have a lower ability. Or I had a student, for example, who has an IEP um, for us. He has a speech impediment, but he also has a lower reading level. And so I was amazed. He did really well with this reading program. So, I mean, I think it helped that he was able to work with a partner, with a student. Um, but it was really nice. I would definitely recommend it because it does all the grading for you. And it really is good to gather like data, like what they're struggling with, so you know what to go back and reinforce and that kind of thing.
Are the
But
questions multiple choice, or they
multiple
have?
choice questions, some fill in the blank, like, when they ask like the name of the character, or what does this word mean. So yeah, but I felt like it was really nice. I don't know if I'll be able to use it again because I would have to ask my principal to buy it for me because that was just a free trial, but I really like it. I don't know of any other teachers who use that particular program, but I really liked it. Yeah. And it also had, you could have the program read aloud for you. So if you were trying to work on like pronunciation, I think it's really helpful because it was almost like one-on-one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome, yeah. I know one of the teachers, she uses Senior Willie, is that what it's
Oh,
called?
Senor Woolley, yeah. hmm Those are
Yeah.
fun because they're so kind of off the wall. They're like really silly, and so I think they really stick with them, because they're I don't know if you've seen any of the videos, but they're really they're really funny, they're weird. And but I really like Senor Woolies because it has a lot of little chunks that they can work on at the same time. You know,
Mhm.
like they can do some reading and then go do an exercise on that, and they can work on just vocabulary. It's really well designed. I think I really like it, and it's very engaging. Like um, I think that kids like it because it's so weird. It just doesn't, it has really strange stories and um, so, I mean, yeah, I really like it.
So
I don't know how much that costs, but it's not cheap.
yes, what she told me. I don't remember. She told me the price, but I don't remember how much it was.
Hmm.
Like, if you want to use it, I'm like, that's not right, but okay. And I didn't use it. I just used the one from the previous teacher. I didn't use hers, but she's like,
Hmm.
oh, they're having so much fun, my students, with these stories and all the stuff. But I never even look at it or anything. So
Yeah, I would say you should look at it at least, and I mean decide from there. But yeah, it's I really like it. Just I think anything that's engaging really hits that motivation factor for students because especially certain times of the year, they just kind of check out. And so I would really like to be able to use things that are high interest, high engaging. Um, I I read something in the research that a teacher, she has them work on figuring out just how prevalent the language is even in this country, not just in like Latin America or Europe, but how much it is spoken here so that they kind of see like, wow, it's really something that I'll be able to use, if I learn it. It's not just going through the motions.
it's what I tell my students. They're like, Miss, why do I have to learn Spanish? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. What if you go to like Mexico or Spain and then you need to use your Spanish? They're like, I'm never going over there. I'm like, well, if you are bilingual here in the United States, you might get a better job. They're like, oh, okay, so I can use that language in here. And they're like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm gonna learn.
Yeah, I think getting them to buy into the idea, that it's useful. But I feel like that's probably one of the things that is challenging about this job is getting them to buy into the idea. Um, at my school, at least, the numbers of students that are enrolling in Spanish were really low the last few years. So I kind of feel the pressure to try to get more students to sign up. But I don't know how that's going to go. It makes me, I kind of feel the pressure, like, oh my gosh, I need to, I need to be a really good teacher and have a really amazing class so that people will sign up for it. But it's a high school level class and it's a year long elective, which it just means that they're going to have to work at it. And sometimes, not every student is going to feel like that. Um, so it was kind of interesting to experience that this first year because I had students that struggled a lot from the beginning, and it's hard to know if that was because it was online learning or if they would have done the same thing in the classroom. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out next year, to see if I lose any students like at the semester because of you know
Yeah, I feel like this is gonna be our first year teaching for real. Cause
oh, I
last year,
think you're right.
I don't think it was like nothing compared to first year, but hopefully we can do better and get those students to learn at least something.
Yeah, yeah. So do you guys have Spanish 1 through 4 at the high school?
And then Spanish for natives.
Oh,
Not
okay. Heritage Spanish.
3 and 4 is together. We don't really get students on 3 and 4. It's more like 1, 2, and then natives. Spanish for natives.
Okay.
I mean, we have a few, but usually they combine 3 and 4 together.
Oh, so
Mm,
one teacher does both?
Yes, it's like the same class, which it doesn't make sense, but
Oh, okay.
they do the same thing for natives. If they don't have enough students, which is usually the case for a Spanish for natives, they combine Spanish for natives 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. That's
So
interesting. I would have thought that there was a lot more because it's Wichita, it's such a huge population.
we get a lot of a Spanish one. Like there's 3 of us teaching Spanish, and we have a full classroom for Spanish 1. But then the Spanish 2 goes a little bit lower, and then Spanish
Hmm.
3 and 4 they combine them because they don't have enough students all the time.
Yeah. So the requirement is 2 years, right, for graduation, 2 years of a foreign language.
Well, yes, if they depending on what they want to do after high school, because Spanish is an elective, so they don't really have to take it if they don't want. Um, I always tell them at the beginning, and I told them at the beginning of the 2 semesters, guys, if you don't want to take this class, don't make me lose my time, and I'm not gonna make you lose your time. If you don't like to learn a new language, like find out something that you like, that you enjoy. Because I don't want to be like uh, having behavior issues, in the classroom and all that stuff. So if you don't like it, it's fine. I'm not going to feel bad or anything. This is an elective. You can find something else. And most of my students stay because they want to learn Spanish. But it was fun because at the end of the year, they were like, Miss, are you teaching Spanish 2 next year? I'm like, no, guys, I'm teaching Spanish 1 again. They're like, no, but why? So that as a teacher make me feel like really good because they want to stay with me.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was, yeah, it was something different.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I thought I don't know. I it'd be nice if students had like earlier exposure to another language, like I don't know if there are any schools if Wichita does anything in the elementary level.
They don't, but they're trying to at least have all the middle schools like a Spanish teacher. So
Hmm.
hopefully in the future they go back like to elementary because if they start early, they might, I mean, way better,
Yeah.
because high school, middle school is kind of like, eh, they're not interested or it's too much work. When they're little, it's much easier to teach them the language, I think.
Yeah, I think they just pick it up more easily. So it's interesting that not all the school districts are the same, in the state. I'm kind of surprised by that, but yeah, I guess it comes down to resources. I don't know. I've always been surprised that they don't do elementary, for second language or foreign language in elementary here because I feel like uh, it's kind of a smaller city and there's a lot of international presence, because it's a college town. So I've always been surprised that they haven't done that, um, but at least it's something. I don't know. I feel like by the time a lot of my students had parents who had taken Spanish in high school, and they're like, I can't remember any of it. So it's just interesting, when you're coming into the field to see like, okay, are these kids going to learn anything? Are they going to remember any of it?
If you
So,
really want to learn, it's like a lifetime thing that you have to do, like for forever. And
mhm,
it's hard. And I say it because I learned English when I was 13 years old. It
uh-huh.
was hard. And even now, like sometimes my words, I'm like, oh, what does that mean? And
Yeah.
as soon as I'm like, English is my second language. So bear with me if you don't understand, like, or if I don't get what you're saying. I'll,
Uh-huh.
and I do. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Tell me. And then they explain. And then I explain to them in Spanish as well. So
Yeah. But I think that's a plus for your students because they get to see that process of,
mhm.
so yeah. Okay. Well, let's see here. I think we pretty much hit all the points for the discussion. We talked about the challenges. Um,
Success.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop the recording.